Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Ladies and gentlemen, what's happening? Welcome to another edition of The Player and the Fan. I am yours truly, David Noel. I am the player. I am the coach. And we have our beautiful co-host, Miss Quierra. Miss Quierra, what's happening?
I'm so excited for this episode. Everyone has been asking for this episode. I have been excited. Like, this might be one of our most requested episodes. And I don't think I've ever been so hounded for us to drop. Like, look, when is David going to drop it? They know that David Noel III is going to go on a tangent. They were like, here, you're just going to have to let David rock on this next podcast. I'm like, I know. I just have to just let him
remember. You remember when we had when we first started the podcast, we would play music before it would come in.
Yes.
And like a couple times back to back, we had the same song, "I'm Upset."
Yes.
By Drake.
Yes.
That would be fitting for this particular podcast. And the crazy part about it is, I'm upset with everybody. Like it ain't one-sided. Everybody's getting this like upsetness up out of me. Like, I don't even know if that's a word, but it's gonna be a word today.
I just want y'all to understand. I hope whoever is listening to this podcast will take it all in. I know sometimes we go 45 minutes to an hour, but I need for whoever to listen to all of it, because today is going to be a day. Because Dave and I both have asked the public, their questions, and most of them were the same, but we have a lot of questions to get through and a lot of answers, and I'm sure just a lot of conversation will be had this afternoon or this evening. So,
but Quierra, hold on, before we move on, but here's another reason why I'm upset. I've been saying it all year.
You have. There are actually a list. I have a listicle of things that you've said all year that I could go off that would pertain to this season. Every episode you've said something. You're right. You're right, David. You're right.
This is unfortunate, but nonetheless, let's roll.
All right. So, but before we go into all the juicy details, let's dive in, of course, to the NCAA tournament. Carolina lost round 1.
Got us up out of there, didn't we?
That
ain't waste no time. We got off the bus and got right back on. Like, so again, remember I told you, like, especially we were talking about the last podcast about your picks, you picking North Carolina to go all the way. And I told you, you never know with this North Carolina team. And like, I told you off camera of who this Wisconsin team reminded me of.
You did.
And who did I say?
You said, what did you say? Wait.
I said Iowa.
You did say Iowa. You did.
I said Iowa. What did Iowa do to us early in the season?
They took us out.
So I had a bunch of Dukies jump into my DMs. And again, that's what they're supposed to do. But again, like I told them, when y'all are talking to me, you have to understand that I am nowhere near the average Carolina fan. Like, I absolutely understand our strengths and our weaknesses. So if there comes a game along and it's like, ooh, probably ain't gonna win that one. You get, like, I told my homeboy, shout out to my homeboy Fabian Davis, my best friend. He called me and asked me and said, "Hey, bro, should I bet on Carolina against Wisconsin?" I said, "Boy, you better not do that." He told me, "Oh, okay, all right, yeah." I already listen. I picked them in my bracket because it was an emotional pick.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. North Carolina, we at least gonna win a game. I didn't necessarily believe it. Like, I think I said on the podcast, I gave us a 52% chance or something like that.
Yeah.
In my heart of hearts, I didn't think we could win this game. Nonetheless, I did hope that the North Carolina team from the ACC tournament, the Duke games all year, would show up and at least make it a game. Because I think I said it ain't going to be no blowout. They completely proved me wrong.
Yes.
Wisconsin beat the 5 of us.
They beat,
And we did the exact same thing we have been doing all year. So, unfortunate, but
it is unfortunate. And the funny thing is that Wisconsin, I didn't even know how old Wisconsin was. The average age is 22. They're older than I think they said, like the Bulls starting five or their current roster or something. Either way, Wisconsin is old. Like,
yes.
The average age is 22. That's insane. And yeah, to go against someone that experienced, Wisconsin played lights out. And then them fools lost the second round.
Hey, but listen, when I say we did what we did do all year, we let two people kill us. Bruh. Davis had to, and guess who they was? The guards. 29 and 21. The rest of their team had 9, 7, 1. Dude came off the bench with 9, 6, and 3. One dude only played 1 minute, so that one don't even count.
Right. What was their threes? I don't even have it up. What was
they were from the 3-point line, they were 13 for 27.
Yeah.
48%. And what have we done bad all year? Don't worry, I'll wait.
You're right. Yeah.
All year, man. Been saying the same thing.
Yeah. But I didn't, the bad thing is I didn't expect it to be that bad. Like I just didn't expect it to just look like we were just so unprepared. Like, and to see, I felt bad for Armando because he was like dragging us in the second half. Like he was doing everything he can. It just looked so, I don't know. You could tell they were defeated. Like you could just see it on their faces that, bro, this ain't even the one.
They were mentally defeated.
Yeah.
And they were mentally defeated because of the first half. Like when you go into halftime down 16, like that's tough. Like, so we've had nothing all year to be able to pull from. Well, it was one game. I think it was, matter of fact, I think it was the Florida State game that we won at home. We came back from, but that's the only game all season where we've been able to, again, well, I ain't gonna say been able to because we didn't put together a full game then. Like we put together one great half. Yeah. And so to expect that in the NCAA tournament against a team that you don't even know, like that's a problem, man. And the way that they shot the ball and the way that they continued to shoot the ball, we didn't have a chance. We didn't have a chance after that. And again, we talk about how great Armando looked down the stretch, and he was trying to carry us and all that kind of stuff. But I guarantee you, half of them checked out at halftime.
Yeah.
And so as maybe Armando continued to play, wasn't nobody else there. And that's a problem.
That is a problem. Yeah. I don't know. I'll save my tidbit for that. I'll bring this back up when we talk about Carolina as a whole and what they're doing going forward. But this loss is Roy Williams' first loss in the NCAA tournament. The 16 times he's been there since coming to Carolina is the first 29-1. It's an incredible feat, but to lose it like this, it has to be heartbreaking. But in totality, let's talk about the NCAA and the many upsets. For one, this is not my first question pertaining to this tournament. Did the committee, actually, let me bring this back. Someone actually tweeted me, David was right, everybody should have played. That was the first thing someone told me. And then number two, did the committee get the seedings wrong? Is this a committee thing? Like, did we really underestimate a lot of teams, or our committees they really got it wrong?
They got it wrong. And here's why. And this was something that I wanted to talk about. So remember last podcast, we were talking about how the HBCUs are ranked and, how they always have to come in as a 16 seed because of their strength of schedule as far as their conference is concerned. So a lot of things are, and this is one thing that I propose. I feel like the number one seed, there should be no more one bid conferences. And I think multiple teams from multiple conferences should make it.
Mm-hmm.
That will eliminate the ACC getting 8, 9, 10 teams in. Because again, some of us didn't belong. The Big Ten getting so many teams in, they didn't belong. Where some of these other teams out here did. I think the NCAA should go to the strategy of, if you win your conference regular season, that's the automatic bid.
Yeah.
Then if somebody else goes and wins the tournament, that's another automatic bid. So I think that's where the NCAA is kind of confusing this thing, because again, you're putting teams in based off of fan bases, you're putting teams in based off of history, based off of popularity and all that kind of stuff. And that's where you get these type of upsets year in and year out, where some of these teams are really, really good. Loyola Chicago, they were ranked all year.
Yeah.
Like some of these teams are really, really good. Did I expect them to beat Illinois? Absolutely not. But they beat the brakes off of them.
The brakes, yes.
You know what I'm saying? So again, if you take some of these teams, either whether it's from an HBCU, the SoCon, the AAC, whatever, like some of these smaller conferences, and you give them a chance, well, because a lot of these teams are really, really good, and they deserve a chance based upon the season that they have had versus the conference that they play in. Because you're gonna tell me you're gonna not get a team in that's 26-4, but you're gonna get a team in that's 19-11.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that's where I think the committee got it wrong as far as, but this is what they've always done. And we can say this year is an anomaly as far as, you know, the amount of upsets and all that kind of stuff, which it probably is due to COVID and all that kind of stuff. So I get that part of it. But again, for me, this should be the year, this should have been the year that every single team played, but also been the year that kind of changes the mindset of the NCAA committee and how they view this tournament and letting some of these teams in that don't deserve to be there.
Right. Well, can we just, for one, talk about Oral Roberts? He's talking about a real Cinderella team, a team that came out of nowhere and has really surpassed all, I wouldn't say surpassed all expectation, but what do you say about teams who just really come out left field? Like, are we missing some really good basketball? Like they had the top shooter in the NCAA, and somehow that just flew under the radar. Like no one knew, no one really paid attention to that statistic that the best shooter in the NCAA is at Oral Roberts. So how did you want
to know why?
Why?
Because nobody watches the conference unless you're an Oral Roberts fan. You see what I'm saying? So I think, again, when we first started this podcast, again, I kept saying, you need to expand your horizons beyond the ACC. I'm telling you, it's good basketball out there. And again, me as a fan of basketball, you know, I would like to be a coach in college one day, that kind of deal. So I watch it often. I will say this, I did not watch Oral Roberts play this year. So Oral Roberts, to me, is a Cinderella.
Yes.
And you get that from time to time, from your Florida Gulf Coast to your George Masons. Somebody threw George Mason back at me in 2006. And I said, bro, did y'all see who they beat? I said, that's a Cinderella. Like, it ain't nothing you can do about that. That's God right there. Yeah. God said George Mason gonna make it to the Final Four. It wasn't nothing we could do about that. So if God said, we ain't talking about getting beat by Lehigh in the first round and then Lehigh losing the next round.
Yeah.
Okay, we talk about getting caught in that God effect. You know what I'm saying? So when you throw a team out there like that, like George Mason's, and as we want to call them Cinderellas, I distinctly remember walking into the locker room after we beat Murray State my senior year. We beat Murray State in the first round, and I saw that we had George Mason, because George Mason had just knocked off Michigan State the game before. And I told my squad, I said, hey, listen, this team is legit. They have every single thing that they need to beat us. We played that team 2 years before. Yeah, it was 2 years before my sophomore year, or maybe it was my freshman year. One of the years before. And it was a game all the way up until the end. We had played George Mason, and they had the same exact squad. So I knew what George Mason was capable of. That's why we came out and played the way that we did. So they didn't catch us by surprise at all. Mm-hmm. They just were better that night. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And no matter what we did, they just were better that night. We made plays. We came out. We played well. Had a lead going into the half. Came out. They shrunk that lead quick. And then you turn around and now it's a dogfight down the stretch, and they end up pulling it out at the end. They end up beating us. But they had everything on that team to beat us. And they did that night. And then they ran the gauntlet all the way to the Final Four. So that particular team, we talking about Lamar Butler, Big Ja, Tony Skinn, Gabe Norwood. They had pros on that team. Mm-hmm. And so, and that's the same thing with like an Oral Roberts. I guarantee you, just based off of this tournament, a team like Oral Roberts, they're going to have pros on that team.
Yeah. Well, the teams that will be playing this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, will be Creighton versus Gonzaga, Oregon versus USC. Well, let me say their rankings with this. So number 5, Creighton will be playing number 1 Gonzaga. Number 7, mm-hmm. Oregon will be playing number 6 USC. Number 4, Florida State will be playing number 1 Michigan. That's going to be such a good game.
It is.
Oh my God, it is. Okay. Number 11, UCLA will be playing number 2 Alabama. Number 1 Baylor will be playing number 5 Villanova. Number 3 Arkansas will be playing number 15 Oral Roberts. And number 8 Loyola Chicago will be playing number 12 Oregon State, and number 11 Syracuse will be playing number 2 Houston. Now, out of all those teams, besides being excited to see 2 Black head coaches go head to head with Coach Ham and Juwan Howard on Sunday, what other game are you looking forward to this weekend?
So for me personally, I am very, very excited to see the Houston and Syracuse game.
I know you're going to say that. I am too.
Like, because for me, Houston has been my squad for like the last 2 years.
Yeah.
I've said that plenty of times on this podcast. Like, I absolutely love what Calvin Sampson has done at Houston. Mm-hmm. And for them to be in the tournament as a 2 seed, continuing to grind again, they beat a really good Rutgers team. Like, again, I told you, Rutgers, that was a great game.
Yeah.
Houston ended up pulling it out. So now you got Houston with this, I guess, high-powered offense versus a Syracuse team that plays zone. So I'm very interested to see that dynamic work against each other. If Syracuse can slow the pace down enough for Houston to get stagnant on offense and not really run and execute what they're supposed to do, mm-hmm. and then on the other end, can Houston guard Syracuse? Because that's been one of the things with Houston. They'll allow a couple points here and there. So that's the game I'm excited to see. Of course, outside of the Michigan-Florida State game.
Now, before we hit UNC, can we just talk about how special Buddy Boeheim has been his senior year? I mean, just being in this tournament, like every game he has been on. And I know his dad, like I can only imagine as a coach battling, that father instinct of wanting to be so proud for your son, just literally playing lights out his senior year. So major props to Coach Boeheim for, controlling that, because if it was me, I would be up and down that court. Like, I don't know. My son wouldn't come out. He would. He hasn't come out. I mean, he's been in the entire time.
Ain't no need for him to. That boy been fuego. You don't take out fuego.
You don't.
You don't take fuego out.
There would definitely be some favoritism being shown. Like, bro, my kid is balling, and I'm surprised Boeheim hasn't said that. Like, if it was me, bro, my kid has been balling.
Yeah, and I'm sure he'll say that after the season. I'm sure he says it behind closed doors.
Yeah.
But as a coach, you kind of gotta stay the course. You know what I'm saying? Like, yes, you want to see your kids succeed, but the fact that he's on your team, you also have to understand that, okay, we still got work to do. And so for Jim Boeheim and Buddy Boeheim, although that dynamic and that storyline is great, hey man, we still got work to do. Hey baby, keep balling, but we still got work to do. So that I think that's the conversation that's being had. Although on the inside, you know how that, what's the name of that movie where they got the little people in the brain? They in their party.
Oh yeah,
but
yeah.
Because Buddy going ham and Jim, even though he be on the sideline like this, in his head, he like, yeah, son, go get him, son.
I know he is. All right, so let's talk about the inevitable, what people are really here for. Because they're not here to hear us talk about Syracuse and Buddy Boeheim and the zone that Carolina defeats year in, year out.
They definitely not.
They're here to hear 05 NCAA champion David Noel III, a former Tar Heel, discuss what the fuzzy is going on at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. So, first question, and I have plenty for David, so buckle up. Number one, well, no, before we get into questions, let's say what's happened. So Carolina lost out on Friday, and I revealed on Twitter that there will be some changes coming. No one believed me, BT Dub. I was called everything but a child of God. I can only imagine what it's like as a player, but I tweeted that there will be some changes coming soon. And on Monday, freshman Walker Kessler announced that he was leaving the program. Walker Kessler, I kind of want to go over his numbers a little bit just to give some insight to, what he's leaving, but kind of like the legacy he left with Carolina. So before we go into what's going on at UNC, question-wise, let's go over Walker Kessler leaving the program. I tweeted out that there will be some changes after Carolina lost against Wisconsin on Friday. And sure enough, on Monday, Walker Kessler dropped a bomb that he was leaving North Carolina. He finished his freshman year at UNC with averaging 4 points a game, 3.2 rebounds. And honestly, that's really it. 8 minutes a game. The game that we all remember with Walker Kessler is his coming out game against Florida State, where he had a game high of 20 points, 8 rebounds, 4 blocks, and was just an absolute monster that game. That was also, I believe, Coach Williams' 900th win at Chapel, or in his career, and it was at home in Chapel Hill. And today, Wednesday, March 24th, Day'Ron Sharpe just declared at about 1:30 that he was going to the NBA, which makes Walker Kessler's leave even more questionable. Like, why would he leave? So, David, what the fuzzy? Hold on. I don't know if I want to ask that just yet. Let me think of a better question. With Walker Kessler leaving, should we panic?
You should absolutely panic. And here's why I say you should panic. Because I think I said this in another podcast. It doesn't really matter what happens.
I don't know if I want you to answer that just yet. I feel like that's a last point question. Let me ask another question. What went wrong this season? That's where I want to start, because I feel like panic and Walker Kessler should be down the line. As a team, what went wrong first before we dissect why Walker Kessler left? And then we can, because you've said it all season on the podcast, what's been going on. What did you see that went wrong for this team as a whole first?
So, okay. So one, I don't want to say that anything went wrong for Walker Kessler to leave, because I don't necessarily think that was the case. But some of the things that North Carolina, so think about it this way. Think about the last couple successful North Carolina teams. 2007 national championship team, 2005 national championship team, 2009 national championship team. You always had a 4-man out there that was versatile.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole too big thing, I think they had to do it this year. But the more successful North Carolina teams has always had somebody like me at the 4th spot, Jawad Williams at the 4th spot,
Luke May
at the 4th spot. So when you look back at the Theo Pinson at the 4th spot,
yeah.
So when you look back at the more successful North Carolina teams, it hadn't been necessarily two bigs.
Yeah.
And you know what that created? That created the spacing that we needed for the one big to be able to dominate.
Yeah.
For your Sean May to be able to eat. For your Tyler Hansbrough to be able to eat. For your Kennedy Meeks. And even we can throw Isaiah Hicks in there, but Isaiah Hicks was more like me.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So again, the too big thing, I think, and so okay, here's where I'll say it possibly went wrong. Walker Kessler came in as a guy who could possibly stretch the floor for us.
Mm-hmm.
So him not being used that way, I think could have turned into something.
Yeah.
But again, now he's 7'1". Yes, you want him around the basket. Early in the season, we was talking about, okay, maybe Walker ain't ready.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when you look back at how this season progressed, you was like, okay, he's coming along well. He started knocking down a couple shots, and then bang, 20-point game, had 16 against Notre Dame. Like, he started coming along well. And I think around that time, I said, hey, the future looks really, really good for North Carolina.
Yes.
Like, even in spite of what's going on right now, we probably got a little too many bigs. The guard play ain't as consistent as it needs to be, but down the road, that's going to be dangerous.
Yeah.
But then you had this happen. So I think I'm not sure what happened behind closed doors, behind every practice, or whatever the case may be. Some of the things that have come out, like as far as, outplaying somebody in practice and not necessarily getting the time on the floor. That goes back to the problem that I was talking about, allowing these kids to transfer with no penalty.
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee you that if there was a penalty in place for you leaving, Walker Kessler would probably stay. He would have probably stayed. But the fact that you can leave this year and he gets that freshman year back, this year didn't even count.
Yeah.
This year, you're going to have so many transfers because you aren't willing to go through adversity. Again, you're allowing kids to make decisions. And again, I'm not, and please don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that Walker Kessler transferred because like things just didn't go his way. There could be a legitimate gripe that Walker Kessler has. I don't know if coach told him something that didn't come to fruition or whatever the case may be. Him leaving is solely up to him. I don't mind if you transfer, that's fine. But I just think that if those rules were in play, and especially looking at what the domino effect is about to happen, but this was his team.
It was. You're right.
This was his team coming up next year. Next year, not even 2 years down the road. This was going to be his team next year. So for him to leave that it has to be something else. It has to be something else, which I do not know. But I said it. As long as we got R.J. Davis and Walker Kessler, North Carolina is going to be in a really, really good place. Because Kerwin Walton is probably going to be a 4-year player. You had DeMarco Dunn and the kid from Kingston coming in, Dontrez out. You had them coming in. And so this one, I ain't gonna lie, this one shocked me. It shocked me.
Yeah.
So
it shocked everybody. And of course, like I don't know if I said it or not, but Dayron announced that he was leaving for the league, which makes things even more confusing as to why he would go, because it definitely looks like next year would have been the year it would have resembled a Carolina basketball team. And it's mind-boggling that, as a fan, removing myself as a reporter, you're wanting to know what went wrong, because it's like, bro, this was you. This is all you next year. Like, everybody saw it. Everybody was looking to next year for this to be Walker's team, and to leave, like you said, it has to be something else. And of course, you want to wish Walker the best, and and wherever he goes.
I absolutely wish him the best, because again, for me, it like we talked about. I think I compared it to marriage last time. There's a commitment on two sides. They have to join together, but again, to separate that commitment, there has to be some consequences. I think I said North Carolina doesn't allow you to just go out and get divorced. You got to be separated for a year and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So again, when you give these kids the ability to say, all right, let me go test out this universe, like the commitment doesn't mean anything.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't even mind this year being free. That's fine. But the fact that you can leave, and I think Walker Kessler's before he left, I think it's rumored that he's going to Gonzaga.
Yeah, he's going to Gonzaga, yeah. It's a favorite.
So he is for sure?
No, it's a favorite. That's what they said, that it's highly likely he's going to Gonzaga. Yeah.
So, and again, to leave North Carolina for Gonzaga, it makes sense, I guess, especially nowadays with the success that Gonzaga is having. And, but my thing was, if for these kids, man, to commit to something, and because again, mind you, now Coach Williams is in a special situation. He ain't getting fired. Let's be honest. Coach Williams ain't getting fired.
Right.
But what if this was a coach who spent all of this precious time to recruit this player, bring him into your program, and then he leave like that?
Yeah.
Like, when you think in your future, like that's tough. That's tough. So think about all of the players that didn't come, and then you're gonna leave because something didn't go right for 1 year.
Yeah.
Bro, you got 3 of them left. Now, mind you, it's and it ain't like the writing was on the wall as far as dang, I'm looking 3 years down the road, but I ain't gonna never get no playing time. He keep bringing all these players in.
Yeah.
Bro, we got Dontrez Styles and DeMarco Dunn coming in next year. That's it for right now. So when you look down the future for Walker Kessler, bro, it's bright as day. Oh, this is all me.
Yeah.
It just don't make sense. But at the end of the day, he has the right to make the decision. And so I'm assuming that there's something else that's playing into this. It can't just be, I don't think it's just playing time.
Yeah. And it's in a COVID year. That's what I wanted to add. You said in a year you made this decision in a special, unprecedented, unnatural heck of a year. You didn't even get the full Carolina experience. You didn't get to see the sea of blue. You didn't get to come out the tunnel. You didn't get all the magic that embodies North Carolina at Chapel Hill, and that's the sucky part. And it really sucks.
It sucks. It does sucks for fans. But I'll say this too: he could have left even with all of that, because again, that's true. If something was, I don't know, said to him like, hey, we gonna promise you this, which I don't. Me personally, knowing Coach Williams ain't never promised nobody nothing.
Not a damn thing.
Ain't no promises being made. And so I can say that with, like certainty almost. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't think there were any promises made, but at the end of the day, I don't know if there were, there could have been some side stuff. Hey, we're gonna let you shoot the ball. Mm-hmm. No, Kessler, don't shoot the ball. You know what I'm saying? Listen, maybe it's that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. But at the end of the day, I wish him nothing but the best. I think he's a pro. I hope he continues to develop, get bigger, get stronger, and be dominant. I just hope. I hope we see him again, though. I will say that.
And
but not if he go to Gonzaga.
Yeah.
They're gonna beat the brakes off.
Yeah, because the commissioner, also the committee, the ACC committee has also allowed for players to transfer within the ACC without penalty. So Walker can go to
Right.
Duke, he can go to Florida State, he can go wherever his heart, literally whatever his heart desires, and play immediately. That's the crazy part. You just play
And you know,
immediately, like
it was
not miss a
rumored that he
step.
was going to Duke anyway.
I did hear that. Dun dun dun.
So
You know what's funny? Somebody was like, I don't know if that was you or if I saw it on Twitter, but what does that say, hypothetically speaking, if a Walker Kessler goes to Duke? Is there a sense of betrayal between coaches? Like, bro, you ain't have to come get my player. Like, you could have just like told him no. Like,
no,
that's what it
this
could be.
this is a dog eat dog
It's
world,
the
man.
evil world we live in.
Yeah, this is a dog eat dog world. If it like some coaches will look at it like that. No, we ain't gonna touch him.
Yeah.
Other coaches gonna be like, bro, it's another good player on the board. I need my job. Let's go get him.
Right.
And so, and that's the college world.
Yeah.
Again, outside of your Coach Williams, your Coach K's, your Tom Izzo's, your Bill Self, like outside of them, everybody's job like is based upon the kids that you can recruit, man.
Yeah.
And so, if you can continue to bring in high talent players, I don't care who. I don't care. Walker Kessler could have left North Carolina at Chapel Hill. I'm going to get him if I was at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill East. Like, right down, like, I ain't even talking, I'm talking about right across campus. I'm going to get him. I don't care. Hey, Walt. Hey, come here. I'll let you shoot it.
So, does Day'Ron Sharp's declare surprise you at all?
No.
No, it shouldn't. No,
I told y'all he was gone when he got there.
Absolutely. Yeah. He was something special. The thing that I hate to see is, what if he would have played more? I would have loved to have seen more Day'Ron Sharp. Oh, no? No, I'm alone?
Think about it this way. And so the reason why you would have liked to see more of Day'Ron Sharp is because of what he did in the minutes that he played.
Absolutely. Right.
But think about Isaiah Hicks. If you go back to Isaiah was just like Day'Ron Sharp. He came off of the bench and he'll get you 12 to 12 minutes.
Yeah.
15 and 20 minutes. Like I'm talking about, he was explosive.
Yeah.
And then when he got the minutes, the numbers stayed the same almost. You know what I'm saying? Even though he was a great piece, a great asset to what our team did, but like I don't think the increase in playing time would have increased his production, so to speak.
Got it. That makes sense. Now, back to the original question, should the departure of Walker Kessler, I hate panic because I feel like panic is such an aggressive word, but I really don't know how else to describe it. But should Carolina fans be a little uneasy about going forward? And what does his departure say about the program?
I don't think his departure says anything about the program, simply because the program is that's established for itself. We've had players come and go.
Right.
Now, this is probably the first time that we've had somebody like McDonald's All-American who was getting minutes.
Star recruit.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, I think that's probably the first time. But I wouldn't say. I would say it is a little bit of panic because you just don't know what went wrong.
Yeah.
And again, with his future looking so bright, it didn't make sense. Mm-hmm. Like that decision doesn't make sense. So when you look at it in totality, I think you have to say, okay, something went wrong somewhere, but I don't think it's not the program, because North Carolina recruits itself because of the history of North Carolina and because of who the coach is. You have kids out here growing up today saying, I want to play for North Carolina. I want to play for Coach Roy Williams. And so that part of it is always going to be there until Coach Williams is gone, until he retires.
Yeah.
And so, there's nothing wrong with the program. Could there be some adjustment made? Absolutely. Could there be some on the court stuff adjusted? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, there's a proven pedigree there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we gotta roll with. And we have to continue to go out and find kids that want to buy in. That's it. And but okay, that right there is what I've been kind of, again, back to the marriage analogy.
Yeah.
I got one whole person over here, one whole person over here. I got one whole coach over here, one whole player over here. We have to come together and be one.
Yeah.
So in that, though, there has to be adjustments on both sides. So again, I'm all for a kid leaving if the situation doesn't fit him. But I'm also more for a kid leaving if you get to a situation and there's no adjustment on the other side. Yes. So for me, I think that's why Walker Kessler left. There has to be a joint adjustment on both sides to say, hey, how can we make this thing work and come together as one?
Right. Well, looking at the other players on the team, I don't even know what to say because, you just don't know at this point, who's happy and who's unhappy. But, just looking over the season, many people are expecting, people are worried about Caleb Love leaving and Armando leaving. We really don't know what's going on with Garrison, if he's staying. He did say after the Wisconsin loss that he was thinking about exercising his extra year. But when you're looking at Caleb and Armando, for one, let's start with Caleb. Does it make sense, or would it even surprise you if Caleb decided to go? Now, hold on. First of all, I just want to bring it back that over the course of the season on this podcast, I stated that Caleb would leave, and it would not shock me. You told me, you said it would make sense for Caleb to go pro. For Caleb to leave and transfer to another school does not make sense. If he leaves, he has to go pro. So, but all season I've stated, Caleb, you could just see it on his face, his mannerisms, his body language, that he just wasn't happy. And what he wasn't happy about, I don't know, but his body language is very clear, especially when he was on the court. It just didn't look like he was content. So him leaving would not surprise me because I've been waiting for him to go all season. Like I just knew he was going to call the number. What do you think Caleb does? Do you think he's even NBA ready? Because his numbers has gone down. I think I saw a quote, and let me get this straight because Caleb Love finishes the season with the worst freshman year field goal percentage for a 5-star recruit in the 18-year history of the 24/7 Sports database, 31.6%. That doesn't mean anything. But when you're Gatorade Player of the Year, you have every statistic possible, to be this great player. You come to Carolina and it just doesn't work out. How do you feel as a player, and what do you even do to get your confidence back? Like, how do you even get back to being the man of Missouri, and being that NBA prospect that everybody just knew was a one and done, and now looking at you, are you even a one and done now?
Again, this is why, so for me, again, if Caleb Love is to leave, I think he should go pro. There's no need for him to go to another university, because here's why. Caleb Love took a lot of shots this year.
Yeah.
His percentage is because he missed them. And that's okay. That's okay. That's not a shot at Caleb. Like, that's okay. Those are his percentages because he missed the shots. But what about the Duke games?
Yeah.
He turned on for those.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So I'm okay with what I said early in the season. The offense doesn't necessarily fit Caleb. It just doesn't. It makes a lot of his shots tough. But also, there were a lot of his shots that were open, and he just missed them. Like I'm talking about, we had games where I'm looking at the stat line where he was 0 for 6, he was 0 for 5, he was 0 for 4, he was 0 for 5. So that isn't necessarily always the system. Some of it is. Again, talk about the marriage piece, making the adjustments on both sides. So it would surprise me if Caleb left North Carolina to go. Now, well, I wouldn't be 100% surprised, simply because, again, this year was free.
Yeah.
So technically, he's a freshman again. It wouldn't be like he went somewhere else and he's a sophomore. He would be a freshman again. So it's almost like he played a prep year, whatever the case.
Trial and error, yeah.
Right, a trial and error year. That's what we'll call this for a lot of these kids. For Walker Kessler, it was a trial and error year. So for Caleb Love to leave and go somewhere else, for me, it just doesn't make sense, because I think his game is already tailored for the NBA.
Yeah.
And so there's no need to give them another chance to critique your game outside of getting paid for it. Like, if you've already taken the hit to your draft stock or whatever the case may be, go ahead and go now. Unless like it's really about the education.
Yeah.
But I don't think, because again, like, they're teaching kids the game in the NBA now. So they send them down to the G League. They learn the NBA game. They get a chance to play against NBA guys. They get a chance to play against some of the veterans who, that kind of deal. So there's a place for Caleb, no question, in the league. So did he fall from a lottery pick to a undrafted? I doubt that. But for me, I think Caleb Love, he either comes back to the University of North Carolina, because now you see what I'm saying? Because if you leave, it's unexpected over there. Yeah. Sometimes the grass ain't green on the other side now.
Yeah.
Like, you can look over there and be like, dang, that grass soft, and it be spikes. It be turf. Like, damn, it's burning a little bit. I don't want to be over here. And now you're stuck in the same situation. At least you know what to expect in this situation. And so now, again, being that this year was free, you wipe that slate clean and you say, all right, I know what to expect now. Now, look, this is where I'm going to get my shots at. So now you perfect the offense. You perfect how to get off inside the offense.
Yeah.
So again, I don't know if Caleb should leave and go somewhere else. That is a possibility. But at the end of the day, I don't think he's going to do that.
So moving on to Armando. I think Armando would surprise me if he left.
When you say he leaves, so when we talk about leaving, where are we talking about? It would not surprise me
if he transferred, if he went to the league, absolutely. But if he left for another school, that would surprise me.
Right.
I think, do you think Armando declared? I think Armando declared. I think he did well enough to go on and make
I think he at least test the water.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think he at least test the waters. And I think, so here's the piece. Again, I keep talking about this marriage, man, and this commitment. But there has to be some give and take, man.
Yeah.
Like, there has to be, like, if Armando is going to go get evaluated by NBA personnel, and he comes back and say, hey, coach, this is what they told me I need to work on to get to the next level. Because again, like right now, it is very much about the University of North Carolina, but it is also about providing these kids with a future to be able to play at the highest level possible.
Yeah. Like,
some of these kids are NBA kids. Like, they just got to be put in the position. Like, it's got to be some type of preparation, like, for the next level. And I think for a piece of me says that's where North Carolina is lacking. North Carolina has to adapt to being able to still run what we run, play the way that we play, but also kind of help these kids develop to the way that the NBA game is.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because again, that's why. Listen, I can see if we were a lower school. That's why kids come to North Carolina, because they think that is going to get them to the NBA.
Yes.
So so you have to adapt to that.
Mm-hmm.
You have to adapt to that. So if we don't make those adjustments, then I think we're going to continue to get years like this, and we're going to continue to lose 5-star recruits, and we're going to continue to like be dumbfounded on why we've lost 30 games in 2 years. Like,
ooh, when you put it in that perspective. So what about Sterling Manley? Where does Sterling Manley fit in all of this? What do we do with Sterling? Because the games that he played.
Me personally, I still think Sterling has to go. And here's why. I think Sterling Manley is one of the, he's a guy that can be decent somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And he can get the playing time that he's looking for.
Mm-hmm.
He can have the ability to get on the floor. Like, that's what this is what I don't understand. Like jokers would stay somewhere, like the University of North Carolina, when you know you can go somewhere else and get burned.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So again, like the Walker Kessler situation is different. There's a difference between developing into your minutes and knowing you ain't gonna get no minutes but still staying.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
For like what's Brendan Huffman?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm glad he left when he left. He probably left a year too late though. You know what I'm saying? So I get it. Being at the University of North Carolina is all great for some, but at times, man, you have to understand your situation.
Yeah.
And for Sterling Manley, I think that like, as much as yes, you love the University of North Carolina, all the perks that come along with it, like all the extra stuff, Jordans and good food and travel, all that kind of stuff. It's great. Trust me.
Yeah.
It's a great lifestyle.
Yeah.
So I get it why it's tough to leave that. But at the end of the day, you have to understand what's going on when it comes to your particular brand and like your playing time.
Yeah.
And understand that, okay, it probably ain't gonna happen here. So that's a great reason to transfer.
Right. Who else do we have? So I firmly believe wholeheartedly, and this is my personal opinion, this is not any sources or anything. I do believe that we keep Kerwin and RJ. I am excited to see RJ and Kerwin grow into who they're supposed to be with Carolina. And I've been saying it all season. I'm excited to see RJ get these keys next year. And I truly think he's going to be someone incredibly special. I really do. And when I think about RJ, it's weird, but I just get these Marcus Page, Joel Berry vibes as far as what he can be for this team. It's like an extension of Coach Williams. I truly think that that's something that Coach Williams has been missing the last 2 years, is an extension of him on the court. And I'm excited to see who RJ becomes as a leader for UNC. So their trajectory, I think is going to be phenomenal, and I think they stay. Garrison, does Garrison and Andrew Playtech keep their? Are they going to stay at Carolina? Do you think they're going to stay at Carolina? Your personal opinion. Again, these are not sources or anything. This is our opinion on whether they should stay or not. Do you think Garrison and Andrew should stay? Let's add Ant Harris in that. Ant Harris too, because I think Ant Harris is amongst Andrew and Garrison. What do we do with
when you think about the North Carolina team moving forward? Like, you look at Ant Harris, you look at Puff Johnson, you look at Kerwin Walton, you look at the freshmen that we got coming in, you look at RJ Davis. Mm-hmm. Now to add, so like a G and a Mondo, G. Let's go back to G. If G is going to do a 5th year, it should absolutely be at the University of North Carolina.
Yeah.
One thing has to change though. His motor has to turn way the hell up.
Yeah.
like way the hell up. Like his motor got to be on a cloud now. Like he got to be out there like a monster.
Yeah.
Like his freshman year, couple times towards the end when he dunked on like Wendell Carter, like that's the G that we need. And last year when he had the numbers, when we had a down year, I'm okay with the numbers being the way that they were, but again, his motor,
yeah, he got to eat. Yeah.
Way the hell up.
Yeah.
Way the hell up for me. And so if he's gonna come back, that's the G that we need. We can't. This year's G was a little too cool, a little too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know what it was, but it was game after game, and I'm looking at that. I'm like, come on, G, come on. Like we gotta turn it up. And so Andrew Playtech, I think Andrew's time is up.
Yeah, I think he leaves too.
And again, for me, I think you push Andrew out because Ant Harris is there.
Yes.
Ant Harris needs those minutes.
Absolutely.
And so if you can't push Playtech out, then I think you lose Ant Harris. I think Ant Harris walks away too. Because again, you don't, why stay? Why stay? Again, I know he's been injured a couple times. I know this was a redshirt year, the year before for him. So he's coming in as basically a freshman again. So I wouldn't stay to sit behind Andrew Playtech, if I'm being honest. Like, so, and then we fast forward to, who did you say?
Those are the three I named: Ant Harris, Andrew Playtech, and Garrison.
Oh yeah. So if I'm G, I'm gonna do a fifth year. I come back to North Carolina. If I'm Andrew Playtech, I go somewhere else and do a fifth year at a lower level.
Yeah.
Maybe I can get some reps. Maybe I get the ball in my hands. Maybe I can play well. If I'm Ant Harris, all depending on what Playtech does.
With Walker Kessler transferring and it being such a shock to everybody, what does this say to recruits? How does this look to a player who's looking, to commit when you're looking at your Chet Holmgreens and your Hunter Salas, kids like that? Okay. Recruits, period. Even if you're DeMarco and Dontrez, when you're looking at stuff like this, does it kind of leave you a little shaky about UNC?
Again, like for me, I think North Carolina recruits itself. So does somebody else's bad experience make it your own? So I don't know what it does to recruits. Yeah, it looks bad. I mean, it does. Anytime you have a player transfer, it looks bad. You know what I mean? So I don't, and because I would try to compare it to the Duke situation with Jalen Johnson, but it's not the same, because I think in Duke's situation, Jalen Johnson looks bad more than Duke does.
Yeah.
In our situation, Walker Kessler leaving is a blow. No question about that.
Yeah.
And there will be some questions that need to be answered when recruits bring it up. It's that simple. You know what I mean? I know you don't talk about another child's kid, but at the end of the day, I'm sure parents are going to have questions. And I just think you gotta keep it, I guess 100 with them. Honestly.
You do, yeah.
Because again, nonetheless, with all of that being said, North Carolina has to go into not necessarily panic mode. And when I say North Carolina, I'm talking about the program, I'm talking about the coaching staff, I'm talking about the players. They need to get these decisions done ASAP. They can't draw these out. If you're gonna leave, tell us now. Yeah. That's simple. You've already, because for me, like I told my wife, if she ever comes to me and sits me down and say, I'm leaving, I ain't asking not to one question. The reason why is because you've already made up in your mind, whatever it is, you have that means you've been thinking about this forever.
Mm-hmm.
And now you just have the muster. You've been able to muster up the strength to come and sit down and tell me. You see what I'm saying? So if it's that, you can't allow them to stretch this out. If Armando is going to leave, if Caleb is going to leave, if RJ, whoever else, if they're leaving, they got to go ahead and tell you now, because now y'all got to hit the ground running as a coaching staff. Absolutely. You got to get into this transfer portal. And again, I had discussions about this with some other people. Grad transfers and transfers are completely two different things.
Mm-hmm.
The grad transfers that we had before, yeah, they didn't work out with Keenan and the kid from William and Mary, Pierce, and they didn't work out. They didn't work out. But to get a kid that has an upswing, that has 2 and 3 years left, oh, that's absolutely what you go and get.
They're Cam Johnsons.
Yes. That's absolutely what you go and get.
Yes.
So again, they can leave if they want to, because guess what? North Carolina has the ability to go and replace it. But they got to do a great job with it this time. They just can't go out there and just try and grab anybody. They got to go out there and replace jokers, because guess what? Just as many jokers that want to leave North Carolina, it's jokers behind you that want to come in.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So for me, again, I think North Carolina, it's not panic mode, but it is.
Yeah, it is.
It is one of those. So we'll see what happens.
There's a couple questions. What exactly is an exit interview like? It doesn't have to be, specifically what Coach Williams asked, but what is that meeting like? After the season is done, you walk in coach's office. Like, how does that conversation go?
First, the coach will probably lead off with, I know the season didn't end the way that we wanted it to, and all that kind of stuff, and blah blah blah. So tell me what went wrong.
Yeah.
And that is where a lot of people will bite their tongues.
Yeah.
They won't necessarily say exactly what went wrong or how they feel. Some of them might. Now, they'll be like, it was just a bad year. I didn't do what I was supposed to. And some of that may be true. But if you don't get it all out, like, hey, coach, this is the type of player I am. You never put me in this position to be successful. Or if it is, coach, like I heard y'all, man, but I just never gave 100%. And when I say 100%, I never came in here and got up extra shots. I never came in here and, I did come in, get up a couple extra shots, but they were not meaningful. You know what I'm saying? Now that's on you.
Yeah.
So now at least you know what needs to be fixed for the next season. Or if it can be fixed and you need to be part ways. So I think the exit interview, especially for this particular year, it has to be harsh, it has to be truthful, and it has to come out with a resolution. Okay, What do we do moving forward? It can't be any stones left unturned for these particular, and that goes for guys who's coming back too. Leaky Black. That's
a player that we need to discuss. What does Leaky Black's trajectory look like going forward? What does he need to change? Because everybody was high on Leaky this year. This was Leaky's team. Understandably, it was Garrison's too. But right behind Garrison, a 1A is Leaky Black. Did he underperform this year?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Just make sure.
Yeah.
So what does Leaky have to fix? Because defensively, that's not the issue. Defense is okay. It is the issue. Well, I thought it wasn't.
Here, and when we say defensively is not an issue, like there's a difference between being a good defender and being a lockdown defender. Leaky wasn't a lockdown guy. Leaky wasn't Jackie Manuel. You see what I'm saying? He was in the right places at times. Yeah, he got in passing lanes. Yeah, he had some great moments defensively, but he wasn't locked down. And that's what we needed. If Leaky is going to be that guy, he has to turn into a lockdown defender. Not let's put Leaky on the best player and hopefully he slow him down.
Right.
So defensively, there is some room for improvement for Leaky. He has the body for it. He stayed healthy all year, so that's perfect. Just getting him through a healthy season was great.
Yeah.
And so now it's about building off of that. Leaky has to come back next year and make these two adjustments. He needs to be able to knock down the 3-point shot. If he needs to be able to knock down the 3-point shot consistently to a point to where people aren't laying off of him crazy. And then 2, he has to become a lockdown defender. Leaky needs to become a 3-and-D guy.
Okay. All right. Someone asks, and I want to make sure I ask this correctly, where is the disconnect with players and coaches? Is this a Gen Z thing? Because when you look at past Carolina teams and you speak to past Carolina players who almost transferred, but they didn't, and things like that, is this a generational thing? Or is there really a disconnect between the coaching staff and the players? Because that's what a lot of people, I feel like, are doing. Because people say they miss the Marcus Page, the Bryce, and you, and older players. But I truly think what we're seeing is a different generation. Like, we're just looking at a different species of kids. They're not built the same. And that's not a shade, but even the 5-year difference, there is no comparison between this generation now and even Marcus Page generation. Like, there isn't. The kids are different. The AAU is different. The parents are different. Like, parents ain't teaching you to stick it out no more. Did I hit the nail? I hit the nail, didn't I? The parents are different. Because honestly, I ain't gonna even hold you. If my kid came up and told me, Mom, I'm not happy, I'm not getting the playing time, I'm not getting none of this, I'm not a young parent either. I'll probably make my kids stick it out. But a lot of parents are like, bro, let's look at something else. Who else we're recruiting you? And these AAU coaches, they don't help either, because they feed the parents exactly what they want to hear, telling them their kid is better than what they are. And you got me all hyped up. My kid's supposed to be MJ. And he out here playing like who done it and why. Now I'm pissed off too. I'm going on a tangent, but anyway.
The disconnect is the parents. And that's unfortunate to say, because I don't ever want to question the way someone raises their kid. Because you try to do better in life to provide better for your child. But, and I was having this conversation the other day with my homeboy, was like, I can't penalize my kids because they didn't grow up the way that I grew up.
Right.
But I also would like them to get the same morals and values from how I grew up.
Yes.
My work ethic from how I grew up, and turn that, and hopefully be able to pass that along to them in a different way. And so I think this generation of parents, they baby their kids a lot. And when I say that, I mean, if something goes wrong, it's not, go look in the mirror first. What are you doing to better the situation? Now, again, at the end of the day, if the situation is not for you, if you've done everything that you can, then by all means, please leave that situation. Please do.
Yeah.
Please transfer. I don't care if it's from North Carolina, I don't care where it's from. And we'll just say North Carolina for now. If North Carolina is not the situation for you, and you have done everything that you can do on your end to be successful, then leave. No question about it. But I think there are, you with social media, there's so much stuff out there.
Yeah.
People buy into it so fast. Oh, it's like, again, am I saying that North Carolina is perfect? Absolutely not. I am one on here criticizing North Carolina often about some of the things that they can do better.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, when you when you look at it from a parent's perspective, if all I'm going to do is say, oh, my son was this in high school and you ain't using him right, so now I'm gonna take my son away. I know I was the mama right there.
You
the
were.
Daddy be like,
you were.
You ain't treat my son right. But being for real, if you're gonna continue to do that and say, if you're gonna say it's somebody else's fault versus your own fault, before you look in the mirror. Now again, if you have looked in the mirror and you have done everything possible, then by all means make that decision. But I would say for the parents, ask questions, figure something out. If nothing can be figured out, then that's when you make the decision to leave. So we could talk, let's say Caleb Love. If Caleb Love's parents feel like North Carolina didn't do right by Caleb, first let's ask, Caleb, did you do?
I was gonna say, what is the definition of do right anyway? Because what does that even mean? I mean, I get what you're saying, but who's this like do right? What does that even mean? Do right is making sure your child is alive every day for me. What is do
it's
right
more
mean?
Than that.
Okay.
It's more than that. So
mean?
when we say do right, meaning, are you doing what you told me that you was gonna do while you was recruiting me?
Right.
That's what do right is. If you telling me something, if you telling me X while you recruiting me, and then I get here and it's Y, we got a problem. You see what I'm saying? And that's what I tell my kids all the time. I told you, a coach told me this. He said, Dave, if you want to get into this game, I want you to understand one thing. He said, this is the advice I'm gonna give you. Coaches lie, kids lie, parents lie. And that's it. That's all he said. He said, if you want to get into this game, if you want to get into this coaching game, just understand that. So again, I used to tell my kids all the time, when it comes to recruitment, welcome to the stripping game, partner. Like, they're going to get in your ear. They're going to talk real nice. They're going to roll the red carpet out for you. They're going to have everything laid out for you when you get there. Might even sit a little chick in your lap and say, hey, man, you should come here. You should come here. And then you go there. And then it ain't what you thought it was.
Right.
Why? Because again, they're going to tell you everything that they need to tell you to get you. But then once you get there, it could be a completely different story. So again, that's why I say welcome to the stripping game. But at the end of the day, too, it is about the parents. Now, if it ain't the stripping game, if I have kept it, at least 99% of what I told you during recruitment, and should be 100, now that ain't on me. That's on the kid. I gave your kid X amount of minutes, like he could play every single game, etc., all that kind of stuff. So man, listen, man, like go ask questions, go to the drawing board. Don't just the first thing you throw out be, oh, we gone.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like make your child go through the process. Understand if you're gonna leave, understand why you're leaving.
Yeah.
Understand what you're doing here. You know what I'm saying? So if you're gonna leave, that would be, and so again, I think a lot of that falls on the parents. Now, I know it is very, very hard to see your kid unhappy.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, too, trials and tribulations gonna happen. Right. You ain't gonna be able to save your child from everything. But but again, if this is something that you could save your child from because it's not right, by all means, save your child.
Right. And that's the name of the podcast. Welcome to the stripping game. Just want to let you know that. Is there any? I don't know if you look at the
okay. Well, you gotta name it. Welcome to the stripping game, Partna. You gotta put that at the end.
Jesus. So hold on before I get the transfer. When you mentioned social media, it's funny how important social media is to these kids because not immediately, but a few hours later after Walker announced that he was leaving, his whole Instagram was stripped of UNC. And that was a little heartbreaking. That made it real for a lot of fans. Like, bro, this joker is really leaving. Like, all of it is gone. And some people thought that Armando had unfollowed UNC basketball. I don't know what Armando's social media things look like people really pay attention to if a kid unfollows a school, what that says and takes it out their bio. So social media definitely has an incredible presence in these kids' lives and what it represents. So are there any transfers? Have you looked at the transfer portal? Have you looked at players or anything? You probably had.
I have not personally,
Okay.
but there are a lot of really good players in the transfer
There are.
portal. I think some guys who can come in right away and help North Carolina. So again, if that is the case, they gotta jump on it right away.
Yeah.
And again, like you can't let past failures dictate what you do now.
Mhm.
Because if you don't go get anybody, then that's a problem too. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how many scholarships. I think it goes like 6-2-6 or something like that for North Carolina. They may have 4 next year or something like that. But with all of these jokers leaving, like scholarships open up like crazy. And I still think they got a couple left for this year. But I think at the end of the day, they got to go and get somebody that can help the program.
And lastly, because whenever I posted that there will be some changes within the Carolina program, the number one thing people said was, how does she know? There's no possible way to know immediately after a game. And my thing was, these aren't just decisions that happen over the weekend. Like this isn't just something that happened Saturday and Sunday. There was a question like, if this season had been different, if they were winning, or is transferring even in the mindset of a player. But then again, you don't know that. You don't know what these players are thinking. I mean, it's still, like you said, it might not have anything to do with winning or losing. It's probably something bigger than what we know and what we'll probably ever know until they do a tell-all book. But we don't know what these kids are going through, or off the court. It may not have anything to do with basketball. He may hate his professors. Like, you just don't know. He may have hated, whatever, being in the proximity to Durham, or like, you just don't know. You don't know. It could be something other than basketball. So wondering if this season has any impact on whether a kid transfers or not. Winning or losing could probably have none. But what do you think? I mean, do you think that
it was a tough season anyway?
And I will say, you have to commend Walker Kessler for staying until the season ended, because he could have pulled a Jalen Johnson and left any other time, but he decided to stay and finish out this year. So,
Absolutely.
I mean, we do have to applaud Walker Kessler for doing the right thing and staying with Carolina, to not cause any diversions of what the bigger goal was for the team.
Yeah. Here's a question that I have. And the fact that he made his decision so quickly, I knew he had to know he was gone, from whenever. So nonetheless, I do have a question. Like, why do these kids feel the need to like send this? Again, it's social media. Thank you to the nation and whatever nation you leave. I enjoyed my time here. You lying?
Bye.
You lying? Are you lying? You didn't enjoy your time here, because if you enjoyed your time here, you would stay here. You know what I'm saying? But nonetheless, that's neither here nor there. But I think that I think social media is, it's give or take. It has something to do with it. But I think when it all boils down to it, like you said, these decisions were probably made weeks, months ago. To know, like, all right, this isn't right for me. And you can see it in some of the play on the floor. Like, it's hard to be 1 foot in, 1 foot out. It's hard. It's hard. So if you're 1 foot in, 1 foot out, you get the results that we've been getting, that up and down all year, up and down all year, up and down all year. And it's what I've been saying. Who's gonna make the adjustment?
And you're right when you put in that perspective, making that correlation between being unhappy and it resulting in an up and down year. When everyone's happy, you can tell. When everyone was not happy, you can tell. Like, those kids could not hide their body language if their life depended on them. And I just hope that wherever they go and whatever they do, you always want a kid to be happy because you only get to be a kid in college once. Like you
Mhm.
only get to do this one time. And if there's one
It's
thing,
too much. It's too much pressure now, though.
it is. It is. You're right.
It's too much pressure now. Like they ain't really going to college.
You're right. It's a
They're
job.
they're
It's a
they're
job.
yeah, they're going to work
Yeah.
if we're being real.
Yeah.
And here's the last thing I'll say about it. Like, think about it this way: Jawad Williams, Jackie Manuel, Melvin Scott
Mm-hmm.
were 8-20 their freshman year.
Mm-hmm.
They went through one of the worst spells. Dang. you just gonna do that like that though?
Sorry. I guess because I can just imagine a pissed off Joel.
Oh yeah. But do you not think they didn't think about transferring? Did you not think they didn't think about so think about if they would have left?
Yeah.
And that year they had a lot of people leave.
Yeah.
They had a lot of people leave that year. But then you bring in another class and you build. Bring in another class after that and you build.
Mm-hmm.
And then you end up winning a national championship.
Yeah.
And so, but the expectation back then was you were probably going to stay in school for 4 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like I think the pressure, I think it's the pressure that these kids feel to be in the NBA, to provide for their families.
Yeah.
But guess what? Off of that team, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 of those players play professionally.
Mm-hmm.
NBA overseas.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, man. Yeah. Oh, excuse me. 8.
Yeah.
8 of those players play professionally overseas. Or in the NBA. All because we stuck it out, man.
Yeah.
And again, so again, I'm not telling you not to leave, but I'm also saying don't hit the panic button so much on just because the first year didn't work out.
Yeah.
What's the possibilities for the future for this team and this organization? Yeah. But we'll see.
We will see. And I think I have one more question to kind of wrap all of this up. Where do you see North Carolina kind of building off of this? Like how do we go on to the next step?
Again, first we have to have those meetings and figure out who's coming or staying, or who's staying or going, I would say. And then we have to make the decision on who's out there that can possibly help this team right away. Mm-hmm. And when those decisions are made, mm-hmm. so what happens is I think you give the keys to RJ. RJ is your point guard, especially if Caleb leaves. Absolutely. RJ is your point guard. Mm-hmm. If he's staying, again, we don't know. Whatever. If RJ is there, RJ is your point guard. You go get somebody to back him up. You go get another shooter. We're bringing in the kid Dunn. So hopefully, as a freshman, Puff has another year. Mm-hmm. Puff should be coming along a little bit. You still got Leaky. You got to go get big. You got to go get a big now. You lost Kessler. You lost Sharp. You don't know what G is going to do. And you have a possibility of losing Baycott. So, but even with them gone, and then you got to kind of go ahead and push everybody else out the way. Sterling, Playtech, and again, I'm not saying this like, I guess, to be rude, maliciously or anything, but at the end of the day, we got to make our team better, bro. We got to make our team better. And if there's somebody out there that's better at that position, then we got to go get them. It's that simple. Again, a part of this, again, remember I told you I was upset with both sides. If we don't go and get better, I'm gonna be even more upset with this side, because you have the ability. And again, some of this is kind of what I spoke to. Coach Williams ain't gonna get fired.
Never.
So there's a level of comfort.
Yeah.
I don't like the comfort when we losing though.
Yeah.
I don't like the comfort when we're losing. And it's not to say that Coach Williams or anybody on his staff is okay with losing, because I know they're not. I understand that they're not. But that means when changes need to be made, that means the boss got to step up and make these changes.
Yeah.
That's simple. So we'll see what happens. Because we swept them bums this year. I ain't trying to go next year and not sweep them bums and gotta listen to them sweeping us next year.
Jesus. Well,
that's what I'm worried about. Look, you know what I'm worried about. That's what I'm worried about. I got to gloat and I had all my fun this year.
You did.
And now there's a possibility that I gotta listen to this next year.
Right.
Unless we get Chet.
Chet is still out there. But look, he is still. You don't know, he is still out there. Just taking his time. Chet. Just taking his time. Yeah. So
no, we need some dogs. That's what we need. We need some dogs.
Yeah.
Cause I ain't gonna front. We done had some soft jokers on our squad. We ain't had no dogs since 2006 for real.
Yeah. I mean, somebody angry. You see somebody a little angry. Happy angry. Not like angry.
Yeah, not like out there.
Yeah, someone who goes into the court. Yeah, and just a different person. Yeah. And as we close out, thank our sponsors. Arlamar, he made my shirt. Of Arlamar Clothing, and Vito of My Canvas Own.
Vito!
We want to thank our sponsors for being amazing. And we also want to thank all of our listeners. Shout out to one of our Carolina parents who said that they just love you, David. And they look forward to RJ's dad.
Oh, man.
He loves our podcast and he just loves you. You know, everybody loves David Noel III.
Mr. Davis. So, hey, man, you can come on anytime you want to.
Anytime.
You know what I'm saying? He could give us the parent perspective.
But we gotta get, We gotta do a dad's version of our podcast. You know, we can see if I can get Mr. Little up here and maybe RJ's dad or somebody to come up here and get.
And I want people who gonna keep it 100 now.
Yeah.
Again, no filter on this podcast. Like we want to, because here's the thing, and I know we long-winded on this one, but nonetheless. Like I people have asked me, Dave, why are you so critical on the podcast in North Carolina? It's because I want to see North Carolina succeed. Mm-hmm. Like if we continue to, if we don't raise the level, and because again, history speaks for itself for North Carolina. It recruits itself for North Carolina. Absolutely. The history is what it is. Like the baseline is championships for us.
Yeah.
And so if we don't continue to stay at that level, and we continue, and we let this bar drop a little bit, because honestly, over the last couple of years, the bar has dropped a little bit. Like we gotta kind of push that thing back up.
Yeah.
And so, if the parents can help share a perspective, I would love to hear Nasir's dad's perspective, especially with what Nasir went through. Again, me personally, I don't think Nasir should have came to the University of North Carolina. But that's my opinion.
You said that.
I've been said that. So, but because of his game, what his game was. So, but we'll see. I'm interested to see what happens.
Yeah. We did our sponsors. We did a wrap up. I think I'm good to go. This was. And we thank you. If you got to this point and listened to the entire podcast, so do appreciate you, because this was a long podcast. So thank you for watching, for listening.
You're a real one. You're a real one if you stayed this long.
Yeah.
That's simple. or you was on a long road trip.
Yeah. Or you was at home working from home and maybe you just needed some background noises. So we definitely appreciate every listener we have.
Yeah.
Every Carolina fan, ACC fan, basketball fan. We really do appreciate you, because We all know that once David gets going, he gets going.
You're a hush. But hey,
Yeah.
when it comes to Carolina,
You
he could go.
Yeah.
I mean, but you know what it is. Hey, we holler.